We have a physical body that relates to this tangible world. We also have a mind that cannot be seen but can be expressed. The behavior of our mind can be recognized in our physical appearance and countenance. Our 5 physical senses allow us to see, smell, touch, taste, and hear. We can taste delicious food that comes from the earth or the animal kingdom. Through our ears, we can hear such a variety of sounds, from the roaring of a lion to the roaring of the wind. The aromas of bread baking in the oven or the sweetness of newly mowed grass can also delight us. And the touch we administer to velvet or silk may send certain vibrations to our heart. There is much beauty to behold in the panoramas of the landscapes, and in the person living next to us. Our 5 physical senses acknowledge the presence of God in all the magnificent things He has created for us. They are the vehicles through which we are able to communicate with all things. We also have 5 spiritual senses, which are similar and correspond to the 5 physical senses. With them we are able to sense another person's emotions. We can feel by intuition whether someone is sad or happy, even if he may not be able to express it openly through his facial expressions. These 5 senses exist to permit us to communicate in the world of spirit even as we live on earth. We can also have interaction with the spiritual world, see people in dead spirit who have already passed into spiritual reality. We can hear their voices, and perceive sounds, tastes and smells of the spiritual world. We are the caretakers and custodians of our bodies, physical body, and also our spiritual body. If we committed our lives with God, we are responsible to take care of them. They actually belong to Him, not us. In fact, our physical body, as the Bible says, is God's temple, and God's Spirit dwells in our spiritual body, meaning that we are spiritual, divine beings, created in the image and likeness of God. So each of us manifests a part of God, if we live in accordance with His ideal, physically and spiritually. If Adam and Eve had fulfilled their purpose, the next generation would have become gods in the sense that they would have been pure, divine sons and daughters of God, without any evil nature or evil tendencies. If that had happened, image of God. Satan and his world that he created with the fall of Adam and Eve to corrupt God's children into evil, sin, and perdition would never have existed. We would physically and spiritually be only God's children. Instead, even after physical death, the composite of our life experiences, our cognition, will remain with us. God created our unique personality to live in the spirit world eternally, whereas our physical body is designed to be only a vehicle to relate to the physical universe, and at the same time a good companion will be put into the ground. Slowly but surely it will disintegrate. But it has a very high purpose, and therefore its value should be honored, and we have to use it in according to God's ideal and His purpose to create mankind. The natural process is that we will someday enter the spirit world with the accumulation of what we acquired both physically and spiritually during our earthly life. It is not God or Satan who decides whether we go to heaven or hell. Everyone brings judgment toward himself by his life lived on earth and is destined to the level according to his spiritual growth of heart and love obtained during his physical life. God, the returned Messiah, and religion can show us the right path of preparation for the spiritual world, but accepting and walking it is our part of responsibility where God does not intervene or force us. During this lifetime, our fleshly body acts in conjunction with our spiritual body. One spark of the Spirit of God has been transmitted from Him and incarnated into each human being. Each of us is a unique and individual spirit, but since He endowed a part of Himself into billions of people, God can be considered part of all humanity. When perfected, each of the billions of entities will represent one cell in the gigantic body of God. So much for most of people. Unfortunately, life reality is basically revolved around only their physical existence, and also without God. But from the Bible, we know that spiritual existence is also reality. In fact, our spirit should govern our physical body and at the same time be directed by God. Yet we do not often consider things in this way. We center around our physical being and permit our intellectual capacity to steer us through each day. Of course, it is important to use the intellect, but it should never completely dominate the spirit mind. Instead, we should be guided by our spirit and God. It is there and so that God dwells within each of us for eternity, and we can have an amazing, happy, and joyful life.